He's getting older.
Cut that bitch off!
Oh, hit the volume button!
But not wiser. This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to The Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today, Tuesday. It's Tuesday, everybody. Fat Tuesday. Not Fat Tuesday. Everybody. It's always Fat Tuesday. Screw it, everybody get drunk. It's Fat Tuesday, baby. The 21st of October in the year of our spaghetti monster, 2014. Welcome one, welcome all to The Lefty Show, to episode number 104. Thank you to everybody for watching, liking, favoriting, subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that has been following me on le Twitters. You can follow me at Lefty643. Just head on over to Twitter.com/Lefty643. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with friends, family, and coworkers. You want to help out. You want to help the show grow. You want to do your part. That's easy. Download the show, find the show wherever you get your podcasts for your PC, tablet, or mobile device. Search The Lefty Show. That's right, wherever you get your podcasts, Android, iOS, it does not matter. Search The Lefty Show. Be sure to subscribe and download all the episodes there at your leisure. And finally, thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. That's I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. I thank you, everybody that's been donating, helping out the show there. Sorry again, I screwed up the intro too. Played a drop when I shouldn't have. I mistimed it. I thought I forgot that there was like a little bit extra of the voiceover, and then there's an open spot where I can put,
I can't see you though, bitch.
I can't see you either, Reverend X. I cannot see you.
Cut that bitch off! Next caller.
Okay, next caller it is. On to the first topic of the show. I said yesterday in yesterday's show that I had some homework to do. I talked about a story in which the UK convicted a man of a pornography crime. Now, I'm not familiar with UK law, so I don't know, if it's deemed a sex crime, or if it's just possession of an illicit material. I don't know. But it's a serious conviction. I believe the suspended sentence of a good while, so long as he doesn't break the law again, he's not going to prison. But was definitely in trouble, ran afoul of the law over there in the UK. And in the story I read on Ars Technica, it was reported that the U.S. had a similar case in 2009. Now, as I read the story yesterday, I felt kind of okay, because even though the UK is just as advanced, as the United States, is just on the forefront of rule of law and those kinds of things. In fact, the justice system in the United States is born from English common law. That's where a lot of the things we get comes from. Writs of habeas corpus and all that. And in fact, so I understand it in law school, the way you think about it, the king, think about, each individual state in America is like a sovereign, and there's a king of the sovereign, and the king says this and that, and the government is a stand-in for the king. All the king's powers and all the king's men, gay, but all the king's powers are manifested in your state government. And if you think of the state government as a king, that's how you can think of it and make it work with English common law. So anyway, it was easy for me to think of it and go, okay, well, okay, all right, the UK's getting a little squirrely on us, but it hasn't happened here in the US, thankfully, because I didn't think it was possible to have such a thing done. I didn't think it was I did not think that somebody could be in the United States of America could be so glibly convicted of what is a thought crime, being charged, tried, and convicted of having drawings, okay? Drawings, whether computer generated or pen to paper or pencil to paper, depending on how you draw, or maybe crayon. If those drawings depict child sexual acts, that is deemed a crime. That's what the UK case was. And I thought, well, that couldn't happen in America because people would be all over that, because it's so obvious that the drawing is not the problem. That's not what makes it illegal. Because if the drawings of two people and you say, well, no, this person's 25 years old. In my head, this person's 25 years old. When I drew the picture, the person's 25. That's not a crime. But in my head, when I drew the picture, the person was 16. Oh, that's a crime. The only difference between the two is a thought, is intent. That is a thought crime. When you do that, you punish somebody's thought. So it couldn't happen in the United States. Couldn't happen. No way. There's no way it could happen, right? I was, okay. Well, it happened over there in the UK, and it's pretty messed up, but I don't go to the UK very often. And, I don't have to worry. I don't spend a lot of time there. I don't have to worry about the erosion of one's personal liberties to the point of criminalizing thought, however obscene. Criminalizing, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about the criminalizing of thought. I don't have to. Thank goodness. Oh, my God. All right. Scoot. Then I find at the end of this story, Ars Technica, it happened in 2009 in the U.S. So I said I had a homework assignment because I wanted to see if there was something that I was not made aware of. And to my knowledge, nobody made a scene about this. In 2009, let me bring you the story of Christopher Hanley. This is from Wired.com. In an obscenity first, a U.S. comic book collector has pleaded guilty to importing and possessing Japanese manga books depicting illustrations of child sex abuse and bestiality. Christopher Hanley, described by his lawyer as a prolific collector of manga, pleaded guilty last week to mailing obscene matter and to, quote, possession of obscene visual representations of the sexual abuse of children, end quote. 3 other counts were dropped in a plea deal with prosecutors. The 39-year-old office worker was charged under the 2003 Protect Act, which outlaws cartoons, drawings, sculptures, or paintings depicting minors engaging in sexually explicit conduct and which, quote, and which lack, quote, serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value, end quote. Hanley's guilty plea makes him the first to be convicted under that law for possessing cartoon art without any evidence that he also collected or viewed genuine child pornography. He faces a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison. Now, this was in 2009. Smash cut, sentenced to 6 months probation. But still on his record, possession of child pornography under the 2003 Protect Act. Comics fans are alarmed by this case, saying that jailing someone over manga does nothing to protect children from sexual abuse. This art that this man possessed as part of a larger collection of manga is now the basis for a sentence designed to protect children from abuse, says Charles Brownstein, executive director of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. The drawings are not obscene and are not tantamount to pornography. They are lines on paper. Now let's hold on a second. Hold on just a damn second. All right? Because while I'm going to champion the liberties of these people, let's call a spade, okay? Let's call that. Because you are not collecting Japanese manga because you're in it for the stories. You're not. You're not. You use it as pornographic material. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't do it. Nope, 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 nope. This gets back to when I say all the time, people are accused of doing something heinous. It's bogus, but they're accused, you did this and it's awful, even though it's a completely unjust law or this or that. Don't shy away from what you're doing. Yeah, because it's hot. I like it. Yeah, bucket of chicken. I look at this material, it gets me all excited, and then I go give myself a hand. Yes, I do. Don't try to tell, it's artistic, and blah, 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 and it's bullcrap, bullcrap, bullcrap. You have a fetish, a very specific fetish, and this manga meets that fetish. And your collection, while sizable, and while you keep it nice and you try to pretend that it's some museum-esque exhibit of a catalog, like I've cataloged all this. No, that's your spank bank. That's what that is. Your gigantic wall of manga from Japan where you know there's going to be tentacle porn, and you know what's coming in this book. You know what it is. Don't tell me it's for the story. Don't tell me it's for the art. You buy them because, I get to read, and it's, because, well, look, actual child pornography, that's wrong. I'm not going to, no, screw that. Because that's actually people being hurt, and that's, no, I'm not touching that. But this is a drawing depicting it, and nobody got hurt. The paper's not hurt. There's no real person hurt by this drawing. And I watch it, and I read it, and oh, yeah, she's going to get it, isn't she? Oh, yeah. That's what you do. All right, comic fans, manga collectors, don't try to tell me that it's not sexual, at least a little bit sexual in nature for you. Don't you dare try to tell me that, because that's a lie. Don't try to defend yourself with a lie. Don't do it. Because sooner or later, people are going to find out that it is a lie. And you know how easy it is? You read a manga book. Well, it's for the story. Kiss my ass. People don't watch soap operas for the storylines, okay? My brother's my cousin, and he was in a coma, and oh my God. No. The stay-at-home moms, the predominantly women that watch it, they watch it for the men, they watch it for the hot pieces of meat put on the screen daily. They don't watch it for the acting. They don't watch it for the cinematography. They don't watch it for any of that crap. They watch it because sooner or later, there's going to be some 24-year-old guy who spends 3 hours a day at the gym doing sit-ups, taking his shirt off. They know that. That's why they watch it. And anybody that tells you, I watch this for the stories, bull crap. No, you don't. No, you do not. So don't try to tell me you collect this crap because, oh my God, it's so awesome. No, it's not. Many, many, many better comics out there with better interwoven storylines, better writing, better ink, better color work, all that stuff. You choose this because you get to see what is implied is an underage girl, naked, half naked, whatever, all the things that go on in there. And you don't have to feel guilty knowing that on the other end of that, it's not on the other end of a lens where another person is getting hurt. It's just a drawing, and it didn't hurt anybody, and it's not hurting anybody. So you can make good on your fetish and not have to have the guilt, moral, or up until apparently 2003 in America, legal guilt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And yeah, okay, there you go. Just say it. Just say it. Don't lie to me. Oh, well, this is it's an artistic piece. No, it's there for weird guys to just okay. It's not a crime. It shouldn't be. Why? Nobody is hurt. Nobody's hurt. So, getting back to the article. Congress passed the PROTECT Act after the Supreme Court struck down a broader law prohibiting any visual depictions of minors engaged in sexual activity, including computer-generated imagery and other fakes. The High Court ruled that the ban was overbroad and could cover legitimate speech, including Hollywood productions. In response, the PROTECT Act narrows the prohibition to cover only depictions that the defendant's community would consider obscene. It's probably the only law I'm aware of. If a client shows me a book or magazine or movie and asks me if this image is illegal, I can't tell them, says Eric Chase, Hanley's attorney. So, no, you're asking, well, what does the PROTECT Act do? What does it do? Well, this is from Wikipedia. And I did a little bit of cursory research. It does a lot. And it does a lot under the guise of saving children. That little weird. On top of the whole drawings now are illegal. That's what it's saying. Because don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't try to bull crap around it. Don't try to tap dance. This is saying now your drawing and your intent behind the drawing, or your intent behind consuming the drawing, is obscene and therefore illegal. Constitutes child pornography. Here's just a few things that the PROTECT Act of 2003 does, or the prosecutorial remedies and other tools to end the exploitation of children today Act. It's another one of those, everything's got to be an acronym, or a backronym, as it says on Wikipedia. I thought it said blackronym at first. I wondered what those are. Send me your favorite blackronyms. Twitter.com/lefty643. I want to hear some of your favorite blackronyms at lefty643. Why do we do that? Why does everything have to be a stupid acronym? Patriot Act, PROTECT Act, Amber, blah, blah, blah. Come on. Anyway. The law has the following effects. 1. Provides mandatory life imprisonment of sex offenses against a minor if the offender has had a prior conviction of abuse against a minor, with some exceptions. Oh, with some exceptions. You're just throwing around mandatory life sentences. Establishes a program to obtain criminal history background checks for volunteer organizations. Volunteer! Only if you can pass a background check. You know, there was a time where it was commendable to be a volunteer. Oh my God, you're a volunteer. Oh, you're coming to volunteer your time. Community service, all this stuff. Not court mandated. You were a genuinely good person and people thanked you if you went and volunteered your time down at the soup kitchen, Habitat for Humanity. You go down, you wrap presents around Christmas time for underprivileged children. You go work at any kind of clothing warehouse or one of those Good Samaritan clothing shops. You're a good person. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now people want to background check you. Well, come on and give me your free time, but let me make sure that you're... Authorizes wiretapping and monitoring of other communications in all cases related to child abuse or kidnapping. Okay? Authorizes wiretapping and monitoring of other communications in all cases related to child abuse or kidnapping. That's good. Eliminates the statutes of limitations for child abduction or child abuse. Eliminates statutes of limitations for child abduction or child abuse. That's right. You abuse your child, quote, abuse your child, when they're grown up, they're an adult, 10, 20 years later, and then they just up and decide, maybe they're just little bastards. Maybe you become a little bastard. Who knows? And then they say, you know what? You abused me. You have no statute of limitation protections. There's none of that, oh, well, it happened 20 years ago, so what the hell? Who cares? You knew about it, you didn't report it then. It completely eliminates statutes of limitations for, child abduction. Okay, that's one thing. But also, I'm sure custody disputes are rife with child abduction allegations. And child abuse. No statute of limitations protection. Bars pretrial release of persons charged with specified offenses against or involving children. Bars pretrial release, no bail. If somebody just alleges some crime committed on a child against you, there's just no bail. None. You are not getting out. You cannot get out. You won't get out. For what? What happened to innocent until, well, you're innocent until proven guilty. Well, then give me bail as per the Constitution, and no excessive bail shall be set. Let's go. Children. Now we get down to the nitty gritty. Prohibits computer-generated child pornography when such visual depiction is a computer image or computer-generated image that is or appears virtually indistinguishable from that of a minor engaging in sexually explicit conduct. Also, prohibits drawings, sculptures, and pictures of such drawings and sculptures depicting minors in actions or situations that meet the Miller test of being obscene or are engaged in sex acts that are deemed to meet the same obscene condition. The law does not explicitly state that images of fictional beings who appear to be under 18 engaged in sexual acts that are not deemed to be obscene are rendered illegal in and of their own condition. Now you want to know, well, what's the Miller test then? How do I know if what I'm looking at is deemed obscene? Here's the Miller test. Now, this is this is from Wikipedia. I'll give you the rundown. The Miller test, or the three-prong obscenity test, is the United States Supreme Court's test for determining whether speech or expression can be labeled obscene, in which case it is not protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and can be prohibited. The Miller test was developed in the 1973 case Miller v. California. It has three parts. One, whether, quote, the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work, taken as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest. What's prurient? Let's see. Uneasy with desire, itching, arousing or appealing to sexual desire. So that's pretty much all porn, isn't it? Right? You watch any porn, never mind the child aspect of it. Would the average person applying contemporary community standards, would they find that work taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest? Would they? Any porn? Of course. Duh. It's what it's there for. Supposed to watch people doing the nasty. Number two, whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by applicable state law. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way. What is patently offensive? Now we gotta go again. The phrase patently offensive first appeared in Roth v. United States, referring to any obscene acts or materials that are considered to be openly, plainly, or clearly visible as offensive to the viewing public. The Roth standard outlined what is considered to be obscene and thus not First Amendment protection. The Roth standard was largely replaced by the Miller test established by Miller v. California. Patently offensive. Number three, whether the work, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. The work is considered obscene only if all three conditions are satisfied. Now, working backwards, if we meet all three of those standards, the work is obscene. And if it is deemed that your obscene work depicts children, you are now guilty of violating the Protect Act of 2003. And what determines whether it's depicting children? Because, again, if you go by the Miller test, if you just use that, because it's supposed to be scientific. We're supposed to pretend, because it's got the word test in it. You know? Like, oh, wow, it's a test. All right. See what we do. Let's see if we pass it or fail it. But even then, if you read it, whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work, taken as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest, or whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by applicable state law. It's not objective. It is completely and utterly still subjective. I'll know it when I see it. That's basically what it is. I will know it when we see it, whether that's obscene. Doesn't that sound like, well, we'll know whether we want to screw you or not? And also, what determines if it's a child? Because it's computer-generated image or a drawing or a picture of a drawing? Intent. Intent. Thoughts determine whether your obscene picture or drawing or computer-generated image is a violation of the Protect Act of 2003. And this guy, Christopher Handley, was convicted. Pled guilty. That's America. That's society, baby. This was America in 2009. Now, smash cut 5 years later, the UK finally has their first one. Some weirdo collecting manga because we know that's what it is. And they said, well, you intend for that drawing to be depicting a minor. Because if the woman in the drawing was 45 years old, if somebody drew like dog tags around her, if somebody drew in a little hand where she was holding a state ID where it said 45 years old, it wouldn't be a problem, right? Well, but you're thinking she's underage, so crime. Thought crime. Thought crime has been a thing in America since 2009. Since 2003. When the Protect Act was initially passed. Anybody? How do you feel? I just want to know. All I want to know. This is my test, right? We're talking about the Miller test and the Roth standard. Here's my test. Are you going to stand for the national anthem the next time it's played? When you go to a public event? Or in the UK, given that this story is more recent. They do it a lot. You go to a sporting event. Actually, I don't know if that's a thing in the UK. I just kind of assumed it was. But you go to a sporting event and before they play the national anthem, for some reason, I don't know why. I've said for a long time, I'm done standing. Done. No more. I'm not standing for this. Because when you stand for it, you stand for it all. When you stand for the stars and bars, you stand for it all. That's one of the reasons why so many people have a problem with the Confederate flag. Oh, it's Southern pride. No, because when you fly the flag, you're flying it all. You can't, there's good things the Confederacy did, which I'm sure there are. But you know what? There's also some really, really bad things. And when you fly that, you're standing for it all. I'm done standing for it all. I'm done standing for the drone strikes, for the illegal wars, the unconstitutional military operations, and I'm done standing for crap like the Protect Act. I'm done. It's over. Now I ask you, my test, the lefty test. Are you going to stand the next time you go to a public event of any kind, where they started with the crap Pledge of Allegiance or where they play the national anthem? Are you standing? I'm not. Let's do some news. All right, we got a lot to talk about in the news today. The story from Deadspin via The Washington Post. Ex-NFL wives have said they felt pressure to keep quiet about domestic violence. This is a story that ran in The Washington Post, picked up and cut up a little bit by Deadspin. I believe The Washington Post article is incredibly long form, and I just don't want to, oh my God, I'm reading all of it. Ugh. Be much easier if it was actually like on paper. I could read that so much easier. But just when you're scrolling and it's just an endless scroll. My God, it's the news with Lefty. This is a story from the Washington Post, like I've said, and has to do with NFL wives talking about what it was like dealing with abusive husbands in the NFL during their time in the NFL. Now, they center on two stories here, okay? They center on two stories from wives of NFL players. I don't believe they are players anymore. One of them is still in some way affiliated with the league. But by and large, as I understand, as I read it, neither of these players in question are actual picking up NFL game checks anymore. These are two wives. And the story, in the wake of all the Ray Rice stuff and the buffoon Roger Goodell and the way he handled all that crap, and the Ray McDonald and the Greg Hardy and Adrian Peterson, all those things. Domestic violence is at the forefront of the zeitgeist right now. That's front and center, baby. Roll call. Domestic violence has got to be top 5 issue. And now, again, the story is centered on what it's like for NFL wives trying to unearth a lot of domestic violence in the NFL that's kept quiet, and the teams are telling wives to shut up. And the league is trying to keep it under wraps, which I don't doubt. I don't doubt that, of course, you get violent men playing a violent game, many of whom, despite their attendance at universities, aren't very bright. You make them millionaires, they're going to be violent. And that violence is going to be turned outwards to people, regular civilians or family members, in the form of domestic violence. That's okay. Yeah, and of course the NFL would believe it's in the NFL's best interest, not the player's interest, not the wives' interest, but the NFL's best interest to keep that under wraps. Same goes for the teams. I don't doubt it at all. Don't dispute it. But the story goes on to relay two stories from two ex-NFL wives. And this is part Deadspin, part Washington Post. I'll read you a few snippets. The Post talked to two women, one of whom declined to be named because her ex-husband is still associated with the league. She recalled a night in the 1990s when several players were out celebrating in the New Orleans Saints' first big win of the season. At one point, she says, her husband got mad and dragged her to their SUV while nearby officers were convinced not to intervene by a teammate. She says the attack grew worse at home. This is the Washington Post now. He pushed me to the top of the stairs and shoved me over to the bed. When I stood up, he punched me, and the next thing I remember is coming to on the floor. I remember pulling my legs up to the fetal position to protect myself from his kick after kick. I was vomiting and gasping for air and remember screaming, "You're going to kill me." Neighbors who saw the altercation begin outside their home had called the police, but when they arrived, instead of arresting her husband, the officers chatted and laughed with him about his successful game, she says. One requested an autograph for his kid. When her husband cleared the blood from her face and ushered her downstairs to assure the police officers all was well in the home, they overlooked any evidence of abuse, she says, and as far as she knows, they never filed a police report. And that is from the Washington Post, presented as evidence of police and the NFL glibly overlooking issues of domestic violence. And I know this is going to be viewed as victim blaming, because everything is. Because if you dare question somebody that labels themselves a victim of something, you're victim blaming. Never mind skepticism, anything like that. All that crap goes out the window, because if you're a victim of something, well, you can't be questioned. Oh, no. You're without repute if you're a victim. Because, why? I don't know. So here we have the story of an ex-wife of an NFL player, presented in the context of a story purporting itself to be unearthing a culture of silence imbued by the NFL and NFL teams. And the story has no corroborating evidence. There's no corroborating witnesses, no police reports, no incident reports of any kind. None. Zero. There was never an investigation. No charges filed, no grand jury testimony, no evidence of anything other than this female's word that this happened exactly as she recalls it. That's supposed to be evidence of what? What is it supposed to be evidence of? Seriously, okay, it's evidence that she tells a pretty gruesome story. And if true, wow, that's pretty gruesome. You would be pretty stupid to believe that's true. You'd be pretty, if you believe that's true, if you believe that completely out of hand, if you believe it completely out of hand, if all she has to do is say, this is what happens, and you don't even think to question, hey, okay, what about the neighbors? Where were they? Who are they? You knew them, knew their name. Let's track them down, ask them about this, see if they can corroborate. We'll track down the players, ask them if that happened. The cops, did you get their names, badge numbers by chance? Was there a police report filed? Was there an incidents report filed? Let's go back. What was the PD? Let's see if there was any record of any officers dispatched to this address at or around this time that you say this happened. If you don't have any of that and you just go, okay, wow, look at the NFL and the police and how they work together to cover up domestic violence, then I got bridges to sell you all over the damn place. All over the damn place. You would be stupid to believe this out of hand, to just say, well, that's what happened. You'd be absolutely incredibly dumb to look at that, to read it and go, oh, wow, look at what the NFL does. Continues on with the second story. And it continues on. The next day, this is Deadspin. The next day, she said she was phoned by a representative from the Saints. All right? Again, this is the Washington Post now. The rep said he called to check on me. I knew what the call meant. I think every wife knows innately what that call means. Quote, your husband needs this job, and you don't want to take his dream away now, do you? I lost more than my dignity. I lost my voice, my self-confidence, my identity. I was just a football player's wife, collateral damage. Again, who is the team official? Who is the team rep? Do you have any phone logs of any kind? Do you have anything to corroborate this story? No. This story is presented, sanitized of any corroborating evidence of any kind. And people read that and go, oh my God, look at what hold on, you bunch of idiots. You just believe this crap out of hand, and now you're going to condemn the Saints because there's going to be at least one person that watches the NFL. It's like, oh, well, the Saints are a bunch of jagbags, which undoubtedly they are, violent men in a violent business. Of course, yeah. This isn't evidence of anything other than a fanciful tale. Until there's a corroborating evidence, this means nothing. This isn't evidence of anything. It should not sway you one way or another because it's just one person saying one thing. Again, imagine this. Imagine instead of dying, Michael Brown was just shot a few times by Officer Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. And fearing for the whole thing, there were the protests, all that jazz. And Darren Wilson went to ground like he did. Didn't say anything. Didn't file a report. He just left. Just cut out and left. And then Mike Brown, Big Mike Brown, from his hospital bed when he regains consciousness, tells you this tale about how he was just walking along with his friend, and this officer jumped out of his vehicle and just shot him. You would be stupid to believe that. Which is not to say that it didn't happen. Which is not to say that Officer Darren Wilson didn't do anything wrong. Not to say any of that. But you would be stupid to believe the word without any kind of corroborating evidence whatsoever of somebody who literally has a dog in the fight. Actually, not literally, who figuratively has a dog in the fight. That is the classical misuse of literal right there, kids. Chalk that down. I'm glad my idiocy can do something to perhaps further your understanding of the English language. Scusi. Be stupid to believe it. You'd say, well, Mike, that's pretty messed up. If true. Wouldn't you have that? Wouldn't you tack on that caveat somewhere? Well, Mike, if true, that's pretty messed up. Or would you immediately go, oh my God, Darren Wilson, we got to find him and run him up by his neck. Let's get him. Ugh, go get him. Get the torches. Get the pitchforks. Let's find him. Get him. If you do that, well, okay, then you're just an idiot. And again, got some bridges to sell you. So go clean out your Wells Fargo account or your Bank of America account or whatever, because I have got the real estate deal of a century for you. There's another story here presented, starting out with Deadspin. DeJuan Smith-Williams is still married to former offensive lineman Wally Williams, though they live separately. Smith-Williams recalled what happened in 2001 when the police found marijuana inside their home. Then Saints coach Jim Haslett left a note on their door telling them to call him before talking to anyone else, Smith-Williams said. Later, Haslett told her, quote, don't talk to the media, don't talk to the police, we will handle it. So when her husband did get violent, Smith-Williams remembered that advice. Now this is the Washington Post. The next year, during his final season, Williams tested positive for marijuana use and received a 4-game suspension. So when Smith-Williams found marijuana in their Baltimore home, she confronted her husband about it. He stormed through their Baltimore home with a baseball bat, hitting doors, chairs, and pictures while threatening her, she says. But after Coach Haslett's warning the previous year, she chose not to call the cops. Instead, she rang the NFLPA rep assigned to Williams' case. He told her to stay safe and to let Williams leave the house. He said that someone would call her back. That call never came. Smith-Williams wasn't entirely surprised. The league rarely returned calls from her or other wives, they had told her, so she didn't bother calling again. Again, this is presented as, look at how awful the NFL and NFL representatives can be. Look at how bad, evil they are with regards to domestic violence. But hold on a second. And again, if you just out of hand go, oh my God, Jim Haslett, coach of the Saints in 2001, when one of his players was busted with pot, when the police found pot in their home, Haslett told his wife, don't talk to the police, don't talk to the media. We will handle it. No, the Saints didn't handle it. Of course, there were lawyers involved, and lawyers got involved, and I'm sure Wally Williams had to appear somewhere in some capacity to answer for this. This didn't just go away. There were lawyers hired, and the lawyers took care of it. That's what I'm with a high degree of confidence. That's what I think Jim Haslett meant. We will handle it, as in the team will hire flesh-eating attorneys to make sure this never sees the light of day. Don't talk to the media and don't talk to the police, because if you admit it, we can't do anything to help you. This wasn't you gotta be quiet. Don't tell the media about the marijuana. Don't do anything, because we're the big Saints family and we don't want anybody knowing what goes on behind our doors. No, he's trying to protect you, because if you admit to it, there's nothing the lawyers can do. Because if you confess, if you go and you try to, and if the police say, well, if you just admit to it, we won't screw you. And then you go, oh, okay, well then, yeah, we did have a lot of pot in the house because we like smoking marijuana. It feels good and all the good things that go along with it. Bam, they got you, and there's nothing your attorneys can do. That was the advice to a completely unrelated incident. It had to do with marijuana, and the police were involved, going after you and your husband because an illicit substance was found in your home. Then you say, because of that advice given in a completely unrelated incident, when your husband ran around smashing his own things with a baseball bat, okay? His own things. I didn't know that's a crime. Threatening, crime. But smashing your own stuff? Not a crime. I don't know. Well, you know what? Who knows? I can't even say with confidence anymore what is and isn't a crime. I don't know. It shouldn't be. But, hey, I thought they were just drawings and lines on paper, and, intent and thoughts couldn't be crimes. But, I was wrong on that. But this incident happens, and this woman applies the advice given by Jim Haslett in a completely unrelated incident to this incident, and that serves as a condemnation of the Saints in the NFL. What? And throughout all of this, no corroborating evidence whatsoever to any of these allegations. None. Absolutely nothing. The NFL is a bad business populated by bad men who are violent, rich, and uneducated primarily. And they are going to do bad things. They try to live a life. They are going to drink and drive. They are going to consume drugs. They are going to get rowdy. They are going to punch civilians. And they are going to use violence to solve their problems because that sort of thing has been reinforced their entire lives. I do not deny it at all, nor do I deny that the NFL has a dog in the fight and definitely does not want that getting out, does not want that to be the image of the league, of the shield, as they refer to it. And if that's the case, it shouldn't be that hard to find concrete, hard evidence of that. This Washington Post expose is bullcrap. It's nothing. It serves as evidence of nothing other than these women are fanciful storytellers. That's it. No corroborating evidence whatsoever. And until there is, well, you better just shut the hell up about this. Because, yeah, okay, it's great. You've got this nice story in it, and if true, that's sad. What can you show me that makes this true? That removes any doubt or most doubt in my mind. I won't even say reasonable doubt standards. I won't even say beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, I'll say what evidence, the preponderance of which will make me believe your story. What evidence do you have? Oh, nothing? Well, then you got nothing. I'm sorry. Yet people are going around waving this about. Oh my God, look at how bad the NFL is. Look at how bad the Saints are. Oh my God. Nothing, there's nothing there. Jameis Winston. Allegations made, investigated, effectively cleared, no charges filed. Look at him. He's a rapist. It's all sensationalistic bullcrap. You want the NFL to be bad, so you'll look for anything to make the NFL look bad, including completely unsubstantiated and uncorroborated stories. It's awful. Just an awful state of journalism. Awful state. And it goes beyond the sporting realm. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I want this to be true, so screw everything else. I'm just going to find what makes it true. Never mind logic, never mind reason, never mind any of that. If it's sensationalized enough and it makes my point look good enough, bam, that goes in my piece. That goes in my speech. That goes in my presentation. It's ridiculous. In other ridiculous news, this is from watchdog.org. Dateline Miami. Big changes could be coming to cities with red light cameras after a Florida District Court of Appeals judge said it's illegal for camera operators to issue citations to drivers. In Florida, only law enforcement officers and traffic enforcement officers have the legal authority to issue citations for traffic infractions, which means only law enforcement officers and traffic enforcement officers are entitled to determine who gets prosecuted for a red light violation, the ruling read. The program works like this. Cameras installed at traffic signals snap photos and are examined by the camera's owner, not law enforcement, to determine whether a violation occurred. The citation is sent to the alleged violator. The driver has 60 days to appeal the ticket before it's convicted into a fine, just like any other citation issued by law enforcement officers. The private company is the one who sends the citations in the name of the city, said Miami lawyer Victor Ure. Now it will have to be the city that does it. The case was brought to court in 2011 by Eric Arem, who received a subpoena issued directly by American Traffic Solutions, the private company hired by the city of Hollywood in Broward County to administer the red light camera program. Initially, the court ruled against the driver, but the decision was reversed on appeal. The ruling has implications statewide. American Traffic Solutions provides similar services to 63 municipalities in the state, according to its website. Could this new ruling cancel existing and previous fines? Uri said the cities the cities could either cancel the fines issued by private companies, or the city themselves could reissue the citations and enforce payment. Florida Watchdog contacted Hollywood to see if it will appeal the judge's ruling, but officials didn't respond to email or return phone calls. Here's my problem. And obviously, the private company issuing traffic citations under the color of law is quite disturbing. The fact that a private corporation will send you a citation and the government backs it, that's worrisome. That's very worrisome. But I don't see a lot of this question raised, and I'm curious as to why. And it was assumed in the article, it said it works like this: the traffic camera, da-da-da-da-da, the pictures are examined by this third party's examiners, and then if a violation did occur, a citation is sent to the driver. And I thought, wow. When I first read that, I thought, wow, that's some pretty good investigative work. How do they know where the driver lives? How do they know? Think about it. How do they know? How do those people know who that driver is? Do they have a picture of the driver? Do they go through facial recognition software to make sure to double check where that driver lives? They don't, do they? What do? They look at the license plate, and the license plate says is registered to an owner with a street address. That's where the citation goes. It doesn't go to the driver, necessarily. And that's something that a lot of people kind of trip over, I think, or completely gloss over. They just say, well, it goes to the driver. How do you know? How do you know it goes to the driver? On such and such a date, at such and such a time, this white Caprice was observed, doing something, some traffic violation, right? We're going to send this to the driver. How do you know who the driver is? Unless you have a picture that matches photo ID or matches some other identification of the driver, you're sending it to the owner of the vehicle, the registered owner of the vehicle. They just assume, well, this car, which you own, the car was observed making this violation. Now, we're going to issue you, the owner, the registered owner, the citation. Well, it tends to work, and it matters to it doesn't happen to matter in a lot of cases, because odds are, if the owner of the car is driving the car, right? Like, how often, if you own a car, is somebody else driving the damn thing? But even then, if there's not a picture of you behind the wheel of the car for that specific instance, how do they know it's you? It was just your car. Shouldn't it be? And I thought we had this whole rule of law thing where the prosecutor had to make their case. They have to prove that it's you. They have to prove it was you beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard, I thought. But in traffic violations, specifically for this stuff, they just assume if you're the registered owner, you were operating the vehicle. Boop, there you go. And the onus is on you, the owner of the vehicle, to prove it wasn't. And again, that tends not to matter in most cases, because you're the owner of the vehicle and you were driving it, and you'd have to commit some kind of perjury in order to say, well, that wasn't me. Because originally how it should go is they say, we want to accuse you of this traffic violation. You say, prove it. And they say, well, we have your car observed here on such and such a date. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You say, not guilty. Wasn't me. They have to then prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it is you, that it was you piloting the vehicle. No more. It's just, no. If you're the owner of the vehicle, you get the citation. And then the onus is on you to prove that it wasn't you driving the vehicle at that time. Yeah. Again, that's society. Because there's a lot of money to be made by just posting up cameras, privatizing them, or contracting out third parties to go over to mull through the data and issue traffic citations, because you could not possibly employ enough police officers to generate the kind of revenue that these red light cameras have. And so municipalities see dollar signs. Oh, what is this? Legal procedure and rights and due process. Yeah, screw all that. Rip, boom. Throw it away. We'll just wipe our hands of that. That stuff was getting in the way. Woof. Thankfully, we got rid of that. Am I right, Johnson? Yeah. Yeah, baby. Like it. Getting new MRAPs. Not that they have to pay for them anyway. But you rip up the rule of any kind of due process and, oh, well, yeah, you know, if you were accused of murder, we would have to put on our case and prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But you're accused of a moving violation, and for some reason, we make it so that, yeah, we're just going to assume it's you, and you have to prove otherwise. And I think it's been tested in court once or twice, and somehow, and that's the worst part. That's the worst part. The sorts of much consternation in my life is that the people you see writing, usually, the people you see writing these laws, the people you see defending and even prosecuting these cases, all these cases that you see on Reddit or wherever on Facebook, and you think, oh my God, how could they do this? The judges, all of them, are learned people. Many, way more often than not, they're learned people. And because they're learned, way more often than not, I would bet they tend to be reasonably intelligent people. Because, yeah, you can have all the accolades you want. You can have all the parchment hanging on the wall. It doesn't mean you know your ass from a hole in the ground. It doesn't mean anything. I've known plenty of people who had plenty of parchment on the wall. You just couldn't tie their shoes if you didn't tell them how. They're just morons. The next thought they have is going to be the first. That's what I'm talking about. I've known plenty of people like that. But it's a good bet. All right, well, you know, you've gotten here. Well, it's a reasonable assumption that you're reasonably intelligent. And how it could be that people make these arguments, you know, well, yeah, I know we have this due process, all the things we kind of do. But it's an okay assumption to just for this private third party or even for the municipality, whoever has the red light cameras, for them to assume unless they can confirm the identity of the driver via the picture. And I know there are some camera setups that do that. But barring that, we are just going to assume the driver is the registered owner, and then the onus shifts from the complainant, the state or the municipality, to the defendant to actively disprove the assertions of the complainant. And people go, oh, yeah, that works. Because there's dollar signs, and whether it be dollar signs or social justice or whatever, whether it be political gains or the manifestation of political ideologies, if there's things to be had, the justice system goes out the window. Any kind of process that we have, that we say, this is a good idea, and everybody gets the benefit of this because that's the way it has to be. We won't get everybody, but we'll ensure that everybody has a reasonably fair shot and is insulated from arbitrary and capricious prosecution. That's our system. But if there's moral outrage at hand, well, just charge Darren Wilson with anything. Screw it. We're going to riot if you don't. If there's money to be had, yeah, screw that whole reasonable doubt. It's on the prosecution, on the complainant. Screw that. Put it on the defendant. We're just going to assume, we're going to assert this, and you have to prove otherwise. Yeah, that's good. All these things go completely out the window. You subjugate the justice system, our process, the process by which we govern and punish ourselves whenever there's something to be had. It's disgusting. It's absolutely, absolutely disgusting. Speaking of things that are absolutely disgusting, North Charleston, as we wrap it up here on the Lefty Show, this is out of North Charleston, South Carolina. Ugh. North Charleston, South Carolina. The man who has led academic magnate to a 6-2 football season has been ousted after an investigation by the school district into an allegedly inappropriate postgame celebrations involving a watermelon. ABC News 4 learned Bud Walpole has been relieved of his duties on the football team, but he will stay on as a teacher at the school. Walpole declined to comment on the matter Monday evening. David Spurlock, the Charleston County Director of Athletics, confirmed Walpole's ouster Monday evening. District officials released a brief statement Tuesday morning on the matter, only saying an investigation was conducted that led to Walpole's dismissal. The statement classified the post-game celebrations described by a student and parent as, quote, inappropriate. The district also named the interim coaching staff. Meanwhile, the academic magnate student body has been vocal in trying to get Walpole reinstated, including an online petition that more than 1,200 signatures, or that had more than 1,200 signatures as of 1 p.m. Tuesday. The petition was started by Darius Nwalki, or Nokiki. Walpole is the greatest coach to walk Magnates Halls, said one student in an email to ABC News 4. The student, who is not on the football team, says he has only seen Walpole interacting with the school's athletic director, but otherwise has never interacted with Walpole. According to the student, the issue with Walpole began with celebrations after games. The whole thing began when the football team started celebrating victories by smashing a watermelon and cheering in a circle to celebrate a hard-fought win, the student said in an email. This was seen by a Charleston County school district official who deemed the act to be racist. Okay? Try that again. The whole thing began when the football team started celebrating victories by smashing a watermelon and cheering in a circle to celebrate a hard-fought win, the student said in an email. This was seen by a Charleston County school district official who deemed the act to be racist. All right? A parent of a student on the football team, this is later in the article, corroborated the student's story, adding the members of the team were held for several hours while each was questioned individually about the actions of the incident. The student said that the football team was taken out of class last week by the district's associate superintendent and another man and asked about the watermelon incidents. The parent said the students ate or destroyed a watermelon after each game as an act of good luck. The parent went on to say that this was not an act of racism, but seemingly harmless activity for a team. I'm just going to let that sit. Let that sit. Smashing a watermelon. Now, barring anything else, barring like audio emerging of Walpole saying, all right, let's go get those N-bombs. Let's go get them and then smash this watermelon like we're going to smash them on the football field. That's one thing. But if the guy just bought watermelons or the team brought in watermelons and they smashed them and ate them after winning, because I'm not a personal fan of watermelons, but apparently a lot of people like watermelon. It's apparently pretty tasty. And if, to celebrate a victory, they stood around in a circle, chanted, hooted, and howled, broke a watermelon, and then ate it, how is in any way that racist? Yes, I'm aware of the stereotype that black people like watermelon and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, I'm aware of that. White people can't have watermelon now? Mixed race group of people, because I'm a white coach, can't direct his team, can't start a ritual with his team where they smash a watermelon and eat watermelon now? And that's it's racist. Oh, it's you gotta. Oh, we're gonna bring in the grief counselor. Are you kids okay? Are you guys all right? Because Jesus, oh my God, we can't have this because it might be racist. It might be deemed as racist. Smashing a watermelon is now racist. God, sometimes I really hate this country. No, I put it to you, the lefty test. Are you standing for the national anthem ever again? Let's bring it home. Woo, another great episode of The Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining. I had a great time putting on the show for you. I hope you had a great time listening. Thank you to everybody for liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. You can also find gaming content, podcasts, and vlogs there. YouTube.com/LeftyOX. Thank you to everybody that's been following me on Twitter @Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news there. Thank you to everybody that's been donating to the show. I'mRaising.com /643 643 Productions. That's imraising.com/643 Productions. And thank you to everybody that's been doing their part. You want to help the show grow? Great way to do it. Share it with friends, family, and co-workers. Wherever you get your podcast, search The Lefty Show for your PC, tablet, or mobile device. Android, iOS, it doesn't matter. Just search The Lefty Show. Be sure to subscribe and download all the episodes at your leisure. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye.
Hey, welcome to Con Air.